Ready.
This is Pod With Me. Today we're going to do something different. It's kind of like a quickie on steroids. I have funny 911 calls. They're really dumb and crazy. But we have prank calls to the telemarketers. And we have a socialist student that got terrorized on live television. Get ready, because the pod starts now.
Will you listen?
Okay.
Now, because we are a non-profit
No, it's not that.
Will you stop saying no?
Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. Are you ready to pod? Let's go. Are you all ready? Let's talk.
Are you ready to pod?
Alex J. here. Alex, are you ready to pod? Hey, are you all ready? We are ready. Let's get to it.
Ready.
This is Alex J. Aguiar, and you're listening to Pod With Me. Today, grab that cup of wine, beer, drink, whatever you want. Sit back, relax, because we're going to laugh at the craziest, dumbest calls ever. We're going to start off with some of the craziest 911 calls.
What's the problem?
I have bought some Chinese food, and it's not to par to me, and I asked to get my money back, and they acting like they don't understand me and took my food and won't give me my money back.
And this is why you called 911?
What am I supposed to do? Jump over the thing and beat them up and get my money back?
You could have called the regular police line instead of the life-threatening emergency line.
What's going on?
I was just growing some marijuana. I was just wondering how much, trouble you can get into for one plant.
You're growing marijuana and you want to know how much. Depends on how big the plant is.
It's only a seedling.
What do you need medicine for?
Actually, what's the problem is, I took some pills, and I took two Viagra pills, and my erection been up for like 4 days, and there hasn't been any signs of change whatsoever, and I'm really sick.
911?
I just broke into a house, and the owners came home.
You broke into a house?
Yeah.
Where at?
I don't know.
911 Williams.
I got a situation over here with Subway sandwich shop.
Okay, so what's going on there?
Well, I ordered 2 sandwiches, and I asked for everything on one sandwich, and the other one I asked for certain things on the other sandwich. I didn't get what I paid for. I'm not going to sit and pay $12 or $10 for some sandwiches and don't get what I paid for. I'm on the phone with you. The employee just came up here and locked the freaking door. And I got both of the sandwiches they did not make right for me inside the store.
911, do you need fire, medical, or police?
No, ma'am, I don't. I don't have an emergency. 2 police officers just left my house just now. Third. Can we get their names, please?
Do you need them to come back there?
Oh, I'd like that, yeah.
Why do you need them to come back there for?
Because I have an emergency. I'll think of something. Honey, I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? I just thought he was cute. I'm 45 years old, and I'd like to meet him again. But I don't know how to go about doing that without calling 911. I know this is not absolutely in a way, shape, or form an emergency.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
What'd you take?
I can't feel anything.
You're what?
I can't feel anything.
Okay, what did you take?
Weed.
Weed?
Yes.
Officers found the 22-year-old curled in a fetal position, surrounded by Doritos, Goldfish, crackers, and Chips Ahoy. They're cookies.
Emergency. A cheeseburger.
Have a good day. Ma'am?
I'd like to report a hate crime.
A hate crime?
Yes, I was not invited to my neighbor's kid's party.
All right, well, Paradise is a small town. You are actually not the first person to call about this. The child in question is very popular, but his parents limited the guest list to 20.
Ready.
Now this one's really funny. These are these guys that are terrorizing telemarketers. Check it out.
Ready. Hello.
Hi, my name is. Have time for me to explain to you exactly what we can do for you?
Yeah.
Now, for you to qualify for our program, you must have a minimum of $5,000 in unsecured debt. Now, the most important part to qualify you must be struggling to make your payments or past due.
What was that part you just said?
You must be struggling or past due. Are you past due?
No, that was before that.
Struggling.
No, before that.
You must have a minimum of $5,000 and above in unsecured debt with each.
No, not that.
What is it?
No, there was something else I missed in there.
To qualify you for our program, you must.
No.
You must have a minimum of 5.
No, it wasn't that.
Well, what is it, sir?
I don't know. If I knew what it was, I wouldn't be asking you.
We are a non-profit debt settlement company.
No.
I'm reading from a strip, and I know exactly what I just stated.
The part right before the debt relief, you said. What was that?
We are the debt relief.
It was right before that.
We are the exclusive agent for national.
No.
You're throwing me for loops right here, and that's all that I have stated.
Must have been right after the debt relief thing.
A non-profit debt settlement.
No.
Let me finish, sir. A non-profit debt settlement company.
No, it's not that. It's not that.
Information.
It's not that. This is frustrating.
Would you please let me explain that maybe you won't be so confused or getting so frustrated?
Okay, but you said that one 3 times. I told you that wasn't it.
Okay, then let me go on to proceed further then.
Okay.
Now, because we are a non-profit company.
No.
I'm trying to explain, sir, to you the program, and you're acting as if you don't want to correspond and listen. You keep hollering, no.
Because I know, as soon as you start talking, I know that's not it.
I don't know what you want.
I just want to get at the information, but I missed the part.
Maybe someone else can help you.
It was right before the debt relief.
We are a debt relief company. Okay,
No.
Wait a minute. You keep hollering, no. And I'm getting frustrated, and I need to stay professional with you.
Well, that's not it.
Okay. You keep telling me it's right before the debt relief. I know what my strips say.
Yeah, and what is...
Listen, a non-profit
No. It's
that's before that.
No.
That's it. Well,
okay, what's right after?
Nothing else. Right after that, that's the information regarding debt relief.
No.
You keep hollering, no. That's very frustrating, and I can't help you. I haven't even went through the strip with you yet.
Well, it's frustrating when you keep repeating the same thing when I tell you it's not it.
We keep going over the same thing over and over, and my day is going to continue to go a good day.
You know, and it would be a better day if you could just give me the information that I missed, the piece
will you listen?
Okay.
Now, because we are a non-profit debt...
No, it's not that.
Will you stop saying no? You're not listening. Let me go on through this strip. Now, because we are a non-profit company, we are able to guarantee
It's not that, it's not that part, though. I heard that.
I'm moving on from that, because there's nothing else there. Maybe you'll get some understanding in the next part. And you don't want me to keep going back over them, and I'm not going to keep repeating myself over and over.
I need to know that important piece of information, and you're not giving it to me.
The only important piece of information is that we are a non-profit company, and we represent...
I got that. No.
Well, bye, sir, because you still hot and no, and I'm not taking this from you today.
She hung up. Hello?
Yes, this is just calling to verify you're receiving your newspaper. Pardon me?
What?
Are you receiving the New York... Which means what? Okay, I'll just cancel it, whatever it is.
What's the problem?
I want to know, is the newspaper coming? Either yes or no. I don't understand what is.
What do you mean?
Is the newspaper coming, sir? Okay, I will classify this as refusing to speak English. Thank you.
What's the problem?
I want to know, is the newspaper coming? Yes or no? Okay, thank you for sharing. Goodbye.
Hello?
Hello, James?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is I'm calling from University.
Hello? My roommate, Steve's on the phone. Can he listen in? Because he's thinking about going back to school, too.
You know what? It would probably be easier if I did them separately. I mean, he can totally listen in. I mean, like...
Yeah, I know, but what if the guy doesn't...
I'm sorry?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Have you earned...
He said he was gonna...
How many credits...
We'll just wave and say goodbye, then.
Okay, I'm kind of confused because I'm hearing two people.
Oh, he was just asking a question.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What was your question?
Yeah, how can I do it if... You know...
How can you do what?
The thing.
The thing. I don't understand the thing.
Don't bring the car to the guy, then. Bring it somewhere else.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Who's talking to me? I don't understand what's going on. Can I just...
Did he answer it for you?
Can I just talk to one person? Can just one person be on the phone? I can't. I don't know.
But we're both trying to get the information. I mean...
Yeah, I'll speak with you after I speak with...
Well, we both like to get the information, actually.
Yeah, I'll send you... I can't... I don't...
What?
Let me talk to one person. I have someone yelling in my ear.
I didn't know.
Okay.
He said if I didn't remember to come, then...
You're driven insane here. I can't answer. I'm not supposed to answer it, you know. All the information is going to be sent out via email.
No, I know, but we're just answering questions to make sure we're interested, too.
I know.
What if I don't have the...
I need to ask.
What if he doesn't have it, though?
What if he doesn't have... What are you looking for?
But what if the other guy didn't,
There's other courses.
Who's the other guy? I don't know who you're speaking of.
What's that?
Who's the other guy?
The only problem is...
The only problem is what?
I don't know.
I can't do this.
Do what? Hello?
Hello, Jane?
Yeah.
I'm giving you a call from credit counselor.
Hello?
For debt consolidation.
Hello?
Yeah. Hey, dude, you still on the phone?
Yeah.
All right, 'cause I got to call my brother and find out if he had a good New Year.
Yeah, I'm still on the phone.
Okay.
Hello?
All right, do you have a few moments? Or?
Yeah, I have a few moments, yeah.
Yo, you still on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Debt consolidation is a program.
Yo, you still on, dude?
Yeah.
You on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was developed to help consumers pay their debt.
You still on the phone, bro?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you want, I can give you a call back.
No, this is fine, actually. I got to run out to work in a little bit, so I'd rather get this over with now. It was what? Developed what?
Debt consolidation is a program. It was developed.
Yo, you still on?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Debt consolidation is a program.
Right.
Oh, you still on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Debt consolidation was what?
Is a program. It was developed.
Yo, you still on the phone, dude?
Yeah.
All right.
Could you bear with me for a moment?
I'd like to get this done now. I mean,
Okay. All right. Debt consolidation is a program.
Bro, you still on the phone?
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Is a program.
Is a program developed by the bank.
You still talking on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's try it again. Debt consolidation is a program.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yo, you still on?
Yeah.
Debt consolidation is a program.
Right. Okay.
It was developed by the banking industry.
Is
Bro, you
developed.
still on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's that guy that keeps picking up the phone?
It's my roommate. You know, we only have one phone in the house.
Oh, okay. We done picked up too many times, so I can give you a call back later.
No, this is fine, because I got to go to work in a little bit.
Because he's picking up every 3 seconds.
Well, no, he seems like he's not picking up right now, so maybe we can get through this.
Debt consolidation is a program.
Yo, you still on?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll give you a call later.
Sir, I'm
Ready.
Now we're going to listen to a student that went on live television trying to change the system. Well, it kind of backfired on her. Check it out.
Ready.
I'm sorry. Is it Keely or Kelly?
That's okay. It's Keely.
I apologize. So what do you
Totally
want here?
fine.
What do you want?
Well, so the movement, the Million Student March, is a movement for a more equitable and fair system of education, as opposed to the really corporate model that we have right now. So the 3 core demands of the National Day of Action are free public college, a cancellation of student debt, and a $15 an hour minimum wage for people who work on the campus.
And how's that going to be paid?
Great question. I mean, you know, so I'm not sure if you're talking on like a national level or at particular schools. I can sort of touch on both. At
Well,
my
if you wanted
university,
all that
Northeastern
stuff,
University,
someone asked to pick up the tab. Who would that be?
the 1% of people in society that are hoarding the wealth and really sort of causing a catastrophe that students are facing. I mean, we have a relationship right now where 1% of the population owns more wealth than the 99% combined.
All right, so if the
and
1%,
that relationship,
Kelly, if the 1% just had their taxes raised a few years ago back to almost 40%, then to pay for the health care law, they had them raised another few percentage points. Then they had their deductions limited to raise another couple points, where depending on the state or locality, they're pushing over about 50% in taxes. How much higher do you think? How much more do you think they should pay?
I think enough until we have a system where not 1 in 2 American families are threatened with poverty.
So where do they go? Let's say if you tax them, they're smart folks, these people, these 1% hoarders, right? So if they leave here, then who's going to pay for all this stuff that you want?
If they leave
the country.
I mean, there's always going to be a 1% in the U.S. The U.S. is like the bastion of capitalism and its success, and I think.
Do you think the 1% can pay for all of this?
Absolutely. 85 people in the world hold more wealth than half of the global population.
No, wait a minute.
I mean,
are we talking about 85 billionaires, or are you extending this to the 1%, or whomever who earn a little bit north of $250,000? At what level, Keely, do you start saying you got to pay a hell of a lot more than you're paying now in taxes?
I mean, I think people earning, certainly people earning over $1 million a year should be contributing to the wellness of society.
If it's 50% now, let's say it's around 50% with taxes. We used to have a top rate of 90%. You think we should get back to that?
I mean, I think that eventually we will get back to that. I think
and
eventually.
You're okay with that? Are some of your friends okay with that? Do some of them want to be successful themselves, and they'd be happy when they get to a level, maybe over 200,000, 250,000, they start paying 90% in taxes on that? They'll be happy with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that
Keely,
people,
come on, you're talking to me here. Your friends are going to be happy getting to a point in their career when they can look outside and say, finally, I'm able to pay 90% in taxes.
Obviously, you know, people in your position, you know, don't want to pay 90% in taxes.
I dare say, unless you're high as a kite, you wouldn't volunteer to pay 90%, right? I mean, unless you really did see a considerable bang for the buck and it was worth it, right? But a lot of the times that you realize it's not worth it, and given some of the track records we've seen with government, it doesn't always work, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But the reality is we have to look at the injustice of the system as it exists right now.
Then do you think maybe if everyone paid a little bit more for this, would you pay a little bit more for this, besides the rich, to pay for that it's worth it? That you think these are good goals?
People already are paying for this.
No, I asked it differently. I asked you, would you, Keely, and your friends, and your mom, and your dad, and your family, would they happily pay more to provide all of these benefits you just outlined?
Of course, and we already are.
No. You just said to pay for some of the things you wanted, the rich should pay significantly more than they're paying right now. Now you're telling me...
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everyone's already paying.
Well, they're not. I mean, now you're saying for these added benefits that you want, and they're fine benefits, don't get me wrong. You think your friends, their parents, your family would be happy to pay a little bit more to provide these guarantees and benefits.
I come from an incredibly working class family, and my family is already on numerous forms of government assistance and is basically scraping by, you know, in order to get me through college. I live in a world and I see a system around me where there's a population that's doing nothing to contribute to the progression of society. Education is really the only way that we have innovation, that we have...
Keely, I'm sure you sound very smart. You know what's going on. You mentioned what's going on in the world. You're probably aware what's happening in Greece and these other countries that provided all these benefits and then some, many of which you outlined very nicely here for us today. And they're going broke, and they're out of money, and they don't know what to do. And their people are rioting on the streets because they can't believe the money's gone, and the benefits and the promises are gone.
Right.
What do you think?
I mean, yeah, there's a global catastrophe right now of complete defunding of social services
because they ran out of money. You know what happened, Keely? They just ran out of money.
Yeah.
Right?
I understand, but there is a 1% in Greece. There's a 1% in the United States. There's a 1%. There's a ruling class in absolutely every...
I don't doubt there is, Keely. I don't doubt there is, but obviously they've been trying to tap them and get money from them, and they realize either they don't have the money or they hid from the money. They're gone. They're gone. Yeah. And now these countries are going bust.
So then those people need to be accountable.
All right, fine, but they're smart and they're scurrying all over the globe. So now even if
they are, and that's a problem.
All right, but they've done studies on this, kid. I don't want to get boring here. But even if you were to take the 1% and take all of their money, tax it 100%, do you know that couldn't keep Medicare, just Medicare in this country, going for 3 years? Did you know that?
If we're to a point where the rich is paying 100% on their taxes, then we're on the road to socialism, and we're going to have a completely different type of public infrastructure.
No, what I told you is that even if you took all the money from the rich who you say are getting away with murder, and you took it all away, it wouldn't support one entitlement in this country for 3 years.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just don't. That sounds completely ludicrous to me.
Do you know that how much it will cost to mandate a $15 minimum wage across the country, to have everyone's student loan debt paid off, to pay for public college for everyone?
How much?
You have a rough idea on the cost of just the educational part, on the student loan part and the public college
yeah,
part?
absolutely. $1.3 trillion in student debt. That's just a beginning. And then...
All right. We'll see. We just lost her. I apologize for that, but history suggests that doesn't always happen. Dagan, Connell, what do you think?
I think the math doesn't add up, and I think that as a broad message, it's like more for nothing.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pod with me. Until next time, don't fall off the pod. For more Pod with me, you can go to alexjaguiar.com. You can also download the Apple and Google Podcast app and search for Pod with me. And now you can also search for Pod with me on google.com. Don't fall off the pod.
Ready.